Happy March Madness Thursday, everybody. If you're watching this show, you're probably a big fan of sports. Me, personally, not a huge college basketball guy, but I know this is a very exciting day for sports fans everywhere. I'm sure we'll all have our PCs, laptops, tablets, TVs going here in a little bit as the games start here in a couple hours. We can rock and roll from there. So I want to wish everybody best of luck in their office or friend tournament pools today. If you're new to the show, Sportsology is essentially going to be a mashup of my two areas of expertise. One, business technology, what I do all day long. Then at nighttime, I'm a daily fantasy sports expert. I live it, I breathe it, I know it. If you ever have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can see my email address down there below, and I'm more than happy to help if you got any questions on any of that. Normally we start and talk technology first, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit today, and we're going to roll right into NBA. Normally I give you two guys you can take a look at that day, but today we're going to go with an actual top six players, six guys that should be on your radar, good or bad. And let's start with my personal favorite player, a Wisconsin native. I'm a Wisconsin resident myself, and that is going to be Alphabet Greek Freak, otherwise known as Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you follow basketball at all, you've noticed that over the past couple of weeks, he's turned into one of the top tier plays as far as NBA DFS goes. He's a triple double waiting to happen. The reason you cannot get away from him in cash games tonight is because what happens when he's 40, 50, 60% owned, and if you don't own him and he has one of those nights where he goes for 70, your night is over. On the flip side, if he has a little bit of an off night, doesn't play as much because they run Memphis out of the room, he's still going to give you 30, 35. He's not going to hurt your team so bad. Plus, everybody else or a lot of other people will have him. So you're still not going to have a huge discrepancy. A lot of times in cash games, it's less about finding upside and more about just not screwing up. Play Alphabet in your cash games. You kind of have to go that route. Greek Freak needs to be in there. Next up, I want to take a look at a guy I would consider not playing tonight, and that is Bojan Bogdanovic, or however you pronounce his name, from the Brooklyn Nets. He had a monster game the other night. His career high from points. He was on fire. The problem is he's a shooter. Shooters get cold. That was the best game of his life. It was more likely a blip and not a trend. And they go up against the Bulls tonight. Taj Gibson left hurt last night, and with Gasol out, Noah out, they have very, very little depth in their front court. I expect them to use Brook Lopez and Thaddeus Young much more than they're going to be shooting from the outside. He might get Jimmy Butler on him and lock him down, so in all likelihood, they're going to use Lopez a lot tonight. So I'll actually move right into there. Brook Lopez is one of the guys I would say, even with the price increase, I would target him. They just don't have anybody to cover him. Nikola Mirotic isn't the guy, and after that, they are so beat up on their front court that is, you got to roll that route. Lance Stevenson, just like Giannis, this guy has to be in your cash lineups. There's too much upside there. He's going to be too highly owned. So even if he doesn't blow up, if you don't have him and he goes for 50 again, your night's over. That's why you got to play him in a cash line. Lance Stevenson of the Grizzlies. Next up, if you're looking for an upside play, check out center Mason Plumlee of the Portland Trailblazers. It wasn't that long ago that he was priced in the mid fives. He was putting up 25, 30, 35 points regularly. He's had a couple of better games lately, and I will start by saying I hate the matchup. Against the Spurs, I will almost never play somebody against the Spurs, but that's another reason that his ownership might not be very high. And in a tournament, what if he does have a nice game? Trailblazers have put out some awful outings lately, so they may really look to bring their A game tonight. Maybe Plumlee drops 30. He drops 30 points in there on just hustle points. Now you still have yourself a nice little bump up on somebody who's not getting played too much. So, lastly, in a cash game, you got to play Shelvin Mack again. I have dogged this guy lately. I haven't played him, and it's been to my peril. He's been fantastic lately. He must have really seemed to be blending in with Utah now that he's had some time there. And he goes up against Phoenix, who, let's face it, leave a lot to be desired as far as perimeter defense is concerned. Expect Shelvin Mack to have another big night. All right, let's move along to talking a little bit of technology. And instead of bringing up a specific brand or manufacturer that we work with, sometimes I like to talk strategy. And when I want to talk to you today about strategy when it comes to technology or IT implementation, is when you do an AV, a conference room, when we're talking big screen TVs and all the control paneling that goes with getting that working correctly, it is very, very, very important that you do it so that it's simple to use. One of my favorite quotes I ever heard came from another salesperson over here. And he talked about if you ever gone to a friend's or family member's house and if you try to get something up on their TV, between their stereo, their TV, their cable, trying to figure out which remotes to use can be very, very difficult. Even for people who are very well versed in that kind of area. You want to make it simple to use. Reuse the term CEO proofing. And while that may get a chuckle out of everybody else, you may not want to use that around the CEO or the owner of the company, but you want him or her to be able to walk in the room, plug in, and make it simple to use. Ultimately, if you're looking at a solution for your conference room, and let's say you've got two solutions, one's 25 grand, one's 35 grand. Seems like the $25,000 one's going to be, less expensive and better for the company. Maybe, maybe not. If you spend that much money but nobody uses it because it's difficult to use, what value are you getting out of that? It's better to spend $35,000 wisely in something that everybody can use and is simple to deploy, and simple is a term I'm using to use, so people really do take advantage of it. That's a better value for your dollar. I do think sometimes, and I would be just as guilty of this, is when people are evaluating decisions to bring to ownership or management, they look at $5,000 or $10,000 and think, oh man, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money to a person, somebody making however much, just a normal regular person. That is a lot of money. But for a business, it's not if it's something that's going to add more value. So make sure when you are deploying a new conference room solution that you do something that is user friendly, and either spend the money wisely or probably, don't even spend the money at all. That's what I got today, guys. Good luck on your tournament, and I will talk to you tomorrow.